place to add insulation and improve the efficiency of your home. Call USI Mesa Insulation at 602-346-9287. I'm Staff Meteorologist John Weatherby.
And right now it's 73 degrees. The Dow is down 227 points, 17,909. S&P 500 down 24 at 2,077, and the NASDAQ down 43 at 4939. Reporting for Money Radio, I'm Ken Morgan.
The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Roth, and you are listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. We're a weekly show found right here on Money Radio, 1510 AM, 99.3 FM, coming at you live from the Scottsdale Air Park. And it is Friday, March the 6th, and we are here today to talk about housing alternatives. And if you recall our last episode, and if you missed that episode, you can catch it up on our website at cypresshomecare.com. There's a radio button up on the top, or halfway down our homepage, you'll see a radio microphone. You can catch my last segment. And I had Scott Fisher on, and Scott Fisher has a company called Options for Seniors, and he is a senior referral agency where he helps place people into senior communities. And, senior communities are wonderful for those people that can't stay at home. And there were a number of options we talked about. We talked about group homes. We talked about assisted living, independent living communities. We talked about CCRCs, which are continuing care retirement communities, which have all levels of care. So there are many, many options out there for our aging adult population. And as you know, if you've been listening to our show, and if you're a new listener today, we are a show about how our aging adult population can live a healthier, happier life. And with that, I want to just jump right in. I've got a guest today that has got some living options, if you would, for our aging adult population. And again, it's for people that can't stay home alone. And maybe the community, the assisted, independent, and even the CCRCs may not be an option that they want to explore. So without further ado, we're going to learn a little bit more about this. I've got a gentleman by the name of Randy Raisanen on, and Randy has a company called Trivac. And Trivac is a construction company. Randy, welcome to our show at Health Futures.
Thank you, Bob. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. And, you're doing something that's very unique out there. And it's unique in the sense that you're providing solutions for aging adults that may not want to go into an assisted living or independent living community. One, they don't want to move into that setting. Two, they may have trouble affording it. So could you tell our listening audience a little bit about Trivac?
Okay.
Am I saying it right?
Trivac. Trivac is okay. The right pronunciation. And actually, I can speak kind of from experience because I'm not quite as young as I used to be myself. So you look at some of these various alternatives and say, okay, which way do we want to go? But on top of that, I have a father who is 89 years old, turns 90 in July. And so he has had a stroke, and so his mobility is limited. But he wants to stay in his own home. And he is fortunate from the standpoint that I have siblings, multiple siblings, and they are able to work with him and give him the companionship, the care or observance that he requires at this point in his life. He has a granddaughter that's going to college, and she spends the evenings or nights with him, and so it's worked out quite well. But springing from that, we have a situation where, a lot of elderly people would like to be by their children and or their grandchildren. That would be their first preference. And a lot of times the children and the grandchildren would like the elderly relative or relatives to spend time with them and be able to help them and feel confident that they're doing okay and they're being, they're close by, they're handy to get to, handy to talk to, handy to visit with, and those kinds of things. On the other hand, it's a little bit iffy sometimes to have them right in your house proper, because, people need some privacy and they've been used to privacy. And so we have said, okay, what can we do to create what we feel or fill what we feel is a need out there for many people? They would like to be by their children and or grandchildren. They want some privacy. And so that brings into things like a guest house, a casita, even a do-over or an addition or remodel to an existing house where you have a private entrance and private living quarters, but yet, the people can mingle maybe at dinner time or whenever it's comfortable and convenient.
I like the solution. I really do. And as our listening audience is probably saying, as they're listening to you, Randy, well, I'm not so sure I want mom and dad being under our feet in our home. Or I'm not sure I want my mother or father-in-law living in my home. I mean, the home is really sanctuary for us. And for many of us, including myself, and you may be part of it as well, although you look a lot younger than you're professing to be, we're in the sandwich generation. We're caring for our children and we're caring for our aging parents. And the solution I like that you've described for us is that you can have them close to you, but not under your feet.
That's exactly right.
And you can have planned meals together. You can have planned family activities together, but they're not under your feet.
Exactly. And even vice versa. They can have their friends come and visit them as well without feeling like they're intruding on your home or your family life. So it works out much better if you can create a private space. And we've done, several of these kinds of things, and we think that this is really a good direction to go.
Well, and I like how you said that because, Randy, I'm looking at it from the perspective of the adult child. But you're right. I mean, that's when my mother was still alive, she never wanted to be a burden to my brothers or myself. She found that really, really challenging. And, whenever she came to visit with us, she would, when we didn't live here in Arizona, she would never stay more than a couple days. Because she said, I don't want to stay around where I start to smell like fish. I want to be around. I want to be around long enough to see my children and grandchildren, and then I want to move on.
It's kind of interesting and comical that you use that illustration, because one of my grandfathers said, guests like fish should not be around for more than 3 days.
Very, very true. And you know what? We have to respect that. And we want to be able to give them their privacy. And I think deep down inside they want to give us our privacy as well. We're going to be coming up on a break right now, but I think the reason why I think TRAVEC is a good solution for some families is for the reasons that we talked about, and we're going to get into it in the second segment, the economics. The economics make a lot of sense because the cost to live in assisted or independent living is astronomical. And we're talking about with after-tax dollars. And we're talking for, a decent place can cost you as much as $4,000 a month, could cost you up to $7,000. I've seen some really phenomenal group homes in assisted living communities. But who has that kind of money? $50,000 to $75,000 a year? And that's with after-tax dollars? So I'll leave that for our listening audience just to ponder on, because we're going to pick it up on our break. If you're just tuning in, I've got Randy Raisanen on from Trevec Homes, and we are talking about a new solution for our aging adult population. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. We'll be right back.
Retire and stay retired. Safe, smart, and secure. Call Secured Financial Solutions at 800-957-5604, extension 200, to get your complimentary guide to maximizing Social Security options and understanding Medicare benefits. 800-957-5604, extension 200, and on the web at www.therippa.com. Listen to On the Money with Anil Vazirani and Secured Financial Solutions every Tuesday at 1 p.m. and Thursdays at 9 a.m.
Hi, Joe Capitano here, Senior Vice President with Homeowners Financial Group. And I'm a human being, not a machine. Do you get embarrassed easily? I mean, if you were the only one who forgot to bring the gift to the holiday party, would that embarrass you? Well, what if you couldn't afford your dream home, your first home, your last home? What if your loan was denied? Now that would be embarrassing. Well, I don't want you to be embarrassed. That's why I listen to you, and I use my many years of experience to help you realize your dreams, help you find the loan and the financing you need. See, a machine, a computer, a website doesn't care if you're embarrassed. It takes a human being like me. Call me, Joe Capitano, 480-305-8545, 480-305-8545, or just go to joeloans.com. Bank number 090-6222, MLS number 9826, Equal Housing Lender. That's 480-305-8545 or joeloans.com.
Stay connected to business news, the market, and social talk with Phil Grandy and the Phil's Gang Show. Weekdays 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. right here on 1510 Money Radio.
Obama can't let the stock market go down. You lied about Benghazi. You lied about the AP. You lied. Stop coming out here as a salesman. What, is he nuts? Phil Grandy here. Be sure to catch the Phil's Gang Show when? Weekdays 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. right here on 1510 Money Radio.
Celebrate March Frozen Food Month with Albertsons, and you could win a trip for two to Hawaii. Visit your Albertsons store, get great deals on your favorite frozen foods, and see how easy it is to enter.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. My name is Bob Roth, and you are listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. We're going to jump right in. I've got Randy Raisanen on, and he is from Trevec Home Construction, and we are talking about a new solution for our aging adult population that he has created within his company. And that's really, do you call it like the in-law suite or the...
Yeah. Well, there's many various names, and actually there's many various uses. But in-laws or parents or other aging relatives is a very common use, and a use that is maybe a predominant use. But even if that need goes away after a while, a child going to college, or say a child gets married and tried to save for a house. There's many various reasons. Or just having friends come down from the Midwest or whatever and stay there and go play golf. And there's a lot of uses for them.
Well, it's interesting. We talked about in the first segment, and I think the need that you filled by doing this, and I know that, you are, not alone in this, and there are others that are doing it, but the need that you fill by creating this suite, so to speak, this casita that is not attached to the home but is a standalone, is you've afforded the aging adult parents as well as the children to be participatory in their everyday lives. And nobody would appreciate that more than a grandparent, to be able to see their grandkids, but not live with them, but see them, around activities, meals, and see them grow and be a part of their lives, but not be under their feet, so to speak.
I feel that is correct. And it's kind of interesting if you go way, way back to the caveman days. the grandparents were very influential in raising the grandchildren because the parents were busy.
Right.
They were out gathering food or making whatever, clothes, whatever.
Hunting and gathering.
Exactly.
Hunting and gathering.
So who did that leave? That left the elderly to really be an influence on the young. And so that's been in humanity for hundreds of years.
And really, when you sit down and look at it, it's really been the last 20 to 30 years where, we have dual parents working. And to your point, we have a lot of children that are home alone, so to speak, during the day. They come home from school, and they used to call them latchkey kids, but to have an aging adult parent, to have an elder, so to speak, as you said, to be there, to be a part of their lives and be accountable to, makes a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense, and generally speaking, I think that the relationship is really pretty good. I mean, the grandchildren usually like their grandparents, and the grandparents, it's often said that, okay, once your kids are out, that's great, but now I can enjoy the grandchildren.
Right. Well, you know what? I want to turn our conversation because I want to get to the economics. But you're talking about grandchildren, and you shared this at the break. First of all, you're Finnish in your descent, but you're not from Finland. You're from Minnesota.
Correct.
And you mentioned how they're not too different in terms of the geography, the number of people, and the weather. But the thing I found remarkable is you talked about grandchildren. You've got 63 of them. You take the prize. I've met a lot of people, but I got to tell you, Randy, you've got 63 grandchildren. How do you keep up with them, and how do you keep up with all those birthdays?
Well, my wife does a better job of keeping up with them than I do, but she's pretty much on top of it, and really we see most of them very frequently because 6 of my grandchildren live in Finland, but the rest of them all live in the Phoenix area.
They all live in the Phoenix area. So
correct.
You have 12 children.
12 children.
and of the 12 children, how many live here?
1 is really not here now. He's living in North Dakota right now.
All right, so 11 of them live here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, theoretically, you could build a grandparent house, a casita, if you would, and all 11 of them, and you could rotate month to month and be a part of the grandchildren's lives. I'm being a little facetious, but that is remarkable. That really is. You really kept to that adage: be fruitful and multiply.
Well, it's got some humorous aspects to it because one of my sons is kind of into financial planning, and he very seriously sat down and talked to his mother one night and said, Mom, what have you and Dad done regarding your later years? And have you planned for this? And have you taken out long-term care insurance? And, do you have this all squared away? And my wife, just kind of looked at him and grinned, and she says, "Oh, we've been planning for that for years." And he says, "Really?" And I mean, he was really excited. He thought, well, wow, this is right on. Well, bottom line, she said, we have 12 kids. So we got our old age plan for.
It's interesting you bring that up and you talk about the conversation. And that's something for the last 14 or 15 months we've been doing right here at Money Radio on Health Futures, taking stock on you. And we've had a number of guests on, and we've talked about that very thing. We've had financial service people on, we've had long-term care insurance folks on, we've had healthcare professionals on, research docs, talking about the future. And our message to our listening audience is how to live a healthier, happier life and planning for the future. And, we want families to have that conversation regularly because it's not something that we do as a society and as people. So I'm glad to hear that your son has already broached that conversation, and certainly having 12 children certainly helps. But I'm also sure, knowing you probably have already put a plan in place. And while you may not be finished, we certainly advocate for planning for the future.
Definitely, and I was being facetious, but it was humorous.
Yes, absolutely.
And another little humorous twist is a daughter and son-in-law of mine just built a new house and quite a very nice place out towards Carefree, and they have a casita, and they refer to it as a mother or mother-in-law facility if and when that's needed. And I says, well, that all sounds great. The only problem is I don't hear anything about a father-in-law.
No, that's really funny. That really is. So if you would, give our listening audience a little bit of background on you. I talked about being from Minnesota, and I learned a little bit about you before we even got the show started. But I want to give our listening audience a little bit of information about you so they can understand the origins of Trayvek and the origins of this, grandparent, in-law, or suite that we're talking about that they can age successfully in place.
Well, I'm unique in the fact that I came from a very large family. I'm the oldest of 15 children, raised in rural Minnesota on a farm, and around 20 years old, approximately, more or less, I started my first company, and it was a painting company, so it was in the construction area. And actually, my nephews are still running that company today. And I am no longer a part owner of that company, but it is still going. And in 1984, I moved to Phoenix, Arizona with 10 children and no job, and started a company with a partner here. And the company grew quite rapidly. But again, it was in the construction business. It was in roofing. It was in remodeling. It was in HVAC. It was total construction. And then in 1998, I left that company and went to a medical device company. And I was in the medical device business for 16 years. I still am on the board of the medical device company, and it is not very many people really are that familiar with it, but basically it monitors how the soft tissues in the body work. When muscles work, just like a EKG or ECG, when the heart pumps, it gives off an electrical impulse. Okay, the heart is a muscle. When it pumps, it gives off an electrical impulse. The EKG captures that data. We also capture that data, but it's usually from other muscles. We usually try to block out the heart because the heart is a predominant heavy signal. And so that is what some of our devices do. We also have motion analysis sensors and things like accelerometers and inclinometers and pressure sensors and a wide variety of monitoring movement and the human body.
Wow. It's so wild. I mean, it's kind of science fiction as it relates to the technology that company has. And I think you said it was Neuroxin is the name of the company?
Yes, the name of that company is Neuroxin. Yeah. And as I said, or maybe I didn't say, but I said in September 1st, I retired from that company. And in 2001, we started Trayvek. And so I am now currently working. That is, again, a family business, and I'm working with my family at Trayvek.
I love it. We're coming up on a break, and we're talking about Trayvek. It's interesting that you have this medical device background because you really do understand the needs for a lot of families, especially with their aging adult or aging parents, if you would, or aging adult children. So with that, we're up against a break. We're down 2 segments, Randy. We got 2 more to go. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. And I've got Randy Raisanen from Trayvek Homes in the house today. We'll be right back.
The Justice Department is preparing criminal corruption charges against a top New Jersey Democrat.
The Attorney General Eric Holder, in one of his final acts before he leaves office, has signed off on prosecutors' requests to bring charges against Senator Robert Menendez.
Correspondent Evan Perez reports Menendez worked on Dr. Solomon Melgen's behalf when Melgen was accused of overbilling Medicare. Melgen has been a major Democratic donor. While Sunday morning daylight saving time will put the hands of our clocks back to where they should be this time of year. But meteorologist Derek Van Dam says temperatures will still be way off. In New York, for instance,
we're going to be running about 18 degrees below where we should be this time of year. Normal temperature for New York City is about 46.
Stocks are plunging after the release of a very good monthly jobs report. The strong report has investors suspecting the Fed will raise a key interest rate sooner rather than later. The Dow is off 266 right now. I'm Evan Haining.
Wendy's presents Red in the Wishing Well.
What's that, boy? Joey's trapped in a wishing well? He jumped into the well? Why? To grab enough coins for some natural cut fries. To dip in a Frosty. Oh, wow, I'm going to Wendy's. Oh, don't worry. Joey will be there when I get back.
Wendy's hot, crispy, natural cut sea salt fries and a cool, creamy Frosty, just 99 cents each. It'll change the way you see change.
Now that's better.
Prices and participation may vary.
Metro PCS is having an amazing 4G smartphone sale. Just $29 after instant rebates. Get the LG Optimus L70 along with a range of other smartphones at very smart prices. No annual contracts, just $29 at Metro PCS. Hurry, Metro's smartphones are flying out the door, so find your smartphone for only $29. Only at Metro PCS. Limited time offer. In-store only. Requires activation or upgrade on $50 plan or higher. See store or metropcs.com for details, terms, and conditions.
Considering small cap stocks but prefer to work with a true local professional? And would you like your small caps to be part of a system where you insure your income at a discount and insure your outcomes, leaving more capital to invest prudently? Come to the IQ Wealth Val Vista Capital Financial Workshop, March 19th. This is an exclusive reservation-only event for accredited and affluent investors at the beautiful Tempe Town Lake Center for the Arts. Hear Jim Gentrup, CFA charter holder, and wealth manager Steve Jurich together on stage as they reveal how you may build, grow, and protect your retirement. Register now. Call 480-902-3333. That's 480-902-3333. Register online at iqwealth.com. I'll be there, and I'll be looking for you.
Investment advisory services by IQ Wealth Advisory, LLC, a registered investment advisor, and by Val Vista Capital Management, LLC, a registered investment advisory firm in Arizona.
There are thousands of qualified captive financial professionals who work as employees for large national insurance companies and brokerages. There are also many independent financial professionals like Steve Netzel of Netzel Financial who are not bound to any given insurance company, investment strategy, or product. If your financial planner is an employee who is contractually bound to represent only specific products, imagine the hundreds of other options out there that could be a better fit for you. At Netzel Financial, they believe in helping those who are in or nearing retirement, and that your financial future deserves a truly objective opinion that looks at more of the options that are available, giving you a financial plan that's custom tailored to your needs. After all, it is your money. If you'd like a second opinion when it comes to your financial future, call Steve Netzel of Netzel Financial at 480-219-0657. That's 480-219-0657. Or visit them at netzelfinancial.com. Netzel financial.com.
Celebrate March Frozen Food Month with Albertsons, and you could win a trip for two to Hawaii. Visit your Albertsons store, get great deals on your favorite frozen foods, and see how easy it is to enter.
This is Ray Hoffman with Your Money Now. With the Dow down 220 points, we have one of those be careful of what you wish for markets. After all, the employment news is pretty good, with a much better than expected 295,000 jobs last month. This marks 12 straight months in which the economy has added at least 200,000 payroll jobs, longest run since 1995. Problem is, this may force the Fed to finally take away the punch bowl, the stimulus of basically 0% short-term rates, at a time when elsewhere they're spiking the punch, with Europe starting a major stimulus program next week. That's driving the dollar sharply higher against the euro currency. The euro is down to a new 11-year low, 108. Which only makes U.S. goods more expensive in Europe. And so on that, plus the increased possibility of a rate hike by the Fed in June, the Dow is down 220, 17,915 at last check. The S&P is down 23, NASDAQ down 42. And that's your money now.
You wouldn't leave your car unprotected, so why leave your identity unprotected? Nearly 500,000 cars were stolen in 2012. For every car stolen, 34 people had their identity stolen. Identity thieves can take your money, damage your credit, and wreak havoc on your life. Help protect yourself with LifeLock Ultimate Plus, the most comprehensive identity theft protection available. It provides protection for your social security number, bank accounts, investments, even the equity in your home. Your bank may alert you to suspicious credit or debit card activity, but a thief could still open new accounts in your name, and your credit report may only tell you after your identity's been compromised. While no one can stop all identity theft, LifeLock Ultimate Plus watches out for you in ways that banks and credit card companies alone just can't. Visit LifeLock.com and use promo code Gordon or call and mention Gordon to save 10%. Call 800-916-7170. 800-916-7170. That's 800-916-7170. Network does not cover all transactions.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. My name is Bob Roth, and you are listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. And we are on our third segment, and I've got Randy Raisanen from Trayvek Incorporated, and they build these casitas and in-law homes that they refer to that are a unique option for our aging adult population. And if you missed the first two segments, you can find them on our website at cypresshomecare.com. And I encourage you to go find them and listen to them. Go to the radio button up on the top, or they're halfway down. You'll find a radio microphone. You can click on that and catch the first two segments and listen along on these two. So I talked about it on our first segment. We didn't really cover it in the second, is the cost. And, you know, when you really look at the cost of moving it into an independent living community or assisted living, you're looking at, on average, about $4,000 a month. And it can cost more. I've seen as much as $7,500 or so. But, you know, $4,000 a month, that's about $50,000 a year with after-tax dollars. For all the reasons, Randy, we talked about it in the first segment particularly, it is nice to be able to have family close to family, but not under their feet. And to be able to have them in more of a participatory role in our children's lives and in the lives of their own children. And when I say our children's lives, I'm talking about the adult children who have children, which would be the person living in that suite's grandchildren. So it's really nice to have them in their lives. But talk to me about the economics, because I really would love our listening audience to understand what it costs to create one of these casitas or in-law homes.
Okay, it depends. It really depends, and I'm not trying to be evasive, Bob, but it depends how big and what is in there. Just as a quick example, if we do a Formica type countertop, that might cost $1,000. If we do that same countertop out of granite, it might cost $10,000.
Exactly.
So I'm not trying to be evasive.
No.
But it does depend on what you put in there. It depends on how high your ceilings are. I have a guest home. My ceiling heights are 10 feet, and so it makes it very comfortable, spacious, roomy, etc. But I would say that generally speaking, at kind of a bare minimum, you're looking at $100 a foot, and it can easily go up to $150 or more per foot. But when you look at the cost of being in a assisted living or a group home or those kinds of things, you're talking $50,000 a year, roughly, as kind of a minimum. Okay,
right.
Then it depends on if there's a certain care level needed. Then the prices tend to go up. And, at the end of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, let's say 3 years, you've invested $150,000. And what you have at the end of that, yes, your aging parent or relative was taken care of. They lived, and they lived hopefully in a nice, pleasant surroundings. But at the end of 3 years, you have a paid receipt says paid and nothing else. Whereas if you'd put that $150,000 into other mode of living, like a guest house or a casita, or, there's various different things, and it depends on zoning laws and lot sizes and all of these kinds of things. But you have something that at the end is paid for.
It's not only paid for, but it increases the value of their home.
Exactly.
So you have an asset that is appreciating.
Exactly.
In the other scenario, Randy, you've got money that, yes, your loved one may have been cared for, but you got nothing to show for it.
Exactly.
So I like the solution. I really, really do. And, I want to give our listening audience a way so that they can see this. Because, I'm a visual person, and I think many people are visual people that are listening in. And if you're driving your car right now, you may want to just wait to hear this on our podcast at Cypress Home Care. But if you are sitting at your desk and you have a chance, I encourage you to go out to Travek.com, and that's TRAVEK.com. If you go to their home website, you'll see a gallery of pictures right on that home page. And on the bottom right of those pictures, you'll see casitas and in-law homes. And I got to tell you, Randy, you got some great pictures. And the show on the low end, let's say $100,000, and maybe more on the higher side, $150,000, to build one of these makes so much sense. If you have the wherewithal, the means, if you don't have the cash, go to your lenders and see if you can borrow the money. But it's a great option for those families that want to do this.
Well, quite often, and one you didn't mention, that is actually quite often available, is the elderly person. They are typically selling a house somewhere.
Right.
And it may be in Des Moines and maybe here, there, whatever. And they say, hey, if I can come and live with you and enjoy your grandchildren, or my grandchildren, and yet have privacy, I am willing to build a facility that I can live in. And they have the money for it. So, yes, you can go out and you can get a loan. You can do this. You can do that. Those are all viable and for some people needed alternatives. But there's a lot of people that the elderly person will pay for it.
It's interesting you say that because they got great shows right here on Money Radio. And I've heard a lot of the hosts of these radio shows talk about the greatest transference of wealth is going to happen over the next 10 to 20 years. So you're right. This population that is aging, many of them have the means to do this. And they can help out in doing that. And in the end, they're helping themselves. So I encourage you to go take a look at those pictures. If you want to call, please call 480-367-1171. They give free estimates. And Randy's saying call right now. We got people set aside to answer your call, and we can set this up.
There's something else I'd like to mention, Bob, and that is we have a software that is like 3D type software. And where you mentioned about a lot of people aren't, they're more visual. And, okay, I've been in construction all my life, so I can look at a blueprint and I can get a pretty good idea what is being built from that blueprint. Mm-hmm. But that's difficult for a lot of people that don't have that kind of a background.
Right.
And we have software that is amazingly accurate in the portrayal of what it is we're going to build. So all of this stuff can be, with today's technology, these buildings can be done virtual. And literally, we can put somebody inside a room that's not there, looking out the window that's not there, and seeing a site outside so they can look at what they're going to be looking at when the facility or building is built. So it really helps people. In fact, we had somebody come to our office recently, and one of our salespeople, who was my son, showed him this software and showed him this project, and he went through it just page by page, and then they went and looked at the project, and the guest couldn't believe it. He said, I have seen this house. Well, yeah, you saw this house because you saw it in our office.
Right. It's interesting. I'm looking through some of these photos as you're talking, and that contemporary guest home in Scottsdale, I could live there. That's really nice.
It is nice.
And just looking at how wide open it is, the light, the higher ceilings, all the things that you mentioned make it a desirable place. And I want to talk about in the next segment how you can build one of these and utilize employer-based home care agencies like Cypress to help care for a loved one that may be aging and dealing with some acute illnesses or physical challenges in their home. So with that, Randy, we're up against a break, and it's hard to believe we're down now 3 segments. We'll be back after we listen to our sponsors to pick up on our 4th segment. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You, and I've got Randy Raisanen from Trayvek Incorporated in the house today. We'll be right back.
How do you know if there's more you can add to your investment strategy?
How do you know if there's more you can do?
How do you know how you can manage risk?
How do you know?
Where do you go? Where do you go?
I'm Rick Plum, Certified Financial Planner. Lucia Capital Group invites you to a free workshop that may change your outlook on retirement planning.
If you're concerned about outliving your money, stock market volatility, and the risk of inflation or deflation, attend the Lucia Capital Group Wealth Education Workshop, Saturday morning, March 7th. Learn about the Lucia Capital Group Bucket Strategy.
We'll show you how the bucket strategy works, how you can get a customized plan to integrate your investments with your Social Security benefits, and how to plan for short-term needs and long-term goals in retirement.
The free Lucia Capital Group Wealth Education Workshop, live in Phoenix, Saturday morning, March 7th. Call 800-644-1150 to RSVP, 800-644-1150, or go to wealthed.com. That's wealthed.com. Rick Plum is a registered representative of and offers securities through Lucia Securities LLC, member FINRA SIPC. Lucia Wealth Services and Lucia Securities are wholly owned subsidiaries of Lucia Capital Group.
Hi, Joe Capitano here, Senior Vice President with Homeowners Financial Group. And I'm a human being, not a machine. Do you get embarrassed easily? I mean, if you were the only one who forgot to bring the gift to the holiday party, would that embarrass you? Well, what if you couldn't afford your dream home, your first home, your last home? What if your loan was denied? Now that would be embarrassing. Well, I don't want you to be embarrassed. That's why I listen to you, and I use my many years of experience to help you realize your dreams, help you find the loan and the financing you need. See, a machine, a computer, a website doesn't care if you're embarrassed. It takes a human being like me. Call me, Joe Capitano, 480-305-8545, 480-305-8545, or just go to joeloans.com. Bank number 090-6222, MLS number 9826, Equal Housing Lender. That's 480-305-8545 or joeloans.com.
Celebrate March Frozen Food Month with Albertsons, and you could win a trip for 2 to Hawaii. Visit your Albertsons store, get great deals on your favorite frozen foods, and see how easy it is to enter.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. My name is Bob Roth, and you are listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. And our guest today on our show is Randy Raisanen, and Randy's got a company called Trayvek Inc., and they are a home construction company that really has an expertise in building these contemporary guest homes. And these guest homes that sometimes are referred to as in-law suites, so to speak. And I kind of misspoke, and we talked about it during the break, and I said that these are standalone casitas. And they're not necessarily. They can be, or they can be attached to the home. And I've got a neighbor, Randy, that just did one of these, and he attached it to his home. And his father-in-law had passed away recently. His mother-in-law was living alone in California. And he and his wife, really were worried about her. And that's what we do in the aging care business. The care business, we worry about our aging adults and our aging parents. And, they were really worried about her, so they didn't want her to move in. But they built one of these guest homes. And it's really interesting because it is attached. And the builder, and it may have been your company, and we talked about that because you got a number of your sons in the business, and you've got 12 children and 63 grandkids, and I love family businesses because I am a family business and part of a family business. So you may have done this one, but the thing that I want our listening audience to hear is that it doesn't look like it's an afterthought. the roof tile matches, the color matches. It looks like it was always part of this home. They did such a remarkable job. And I talked about how this can be connected, and it is connected. And I went over my neighbor's house, and he gave me a tour, and I was shocked because, like you said in the last segment, it was hard for me to visualize when he showed me what his plans were. And then I saw them pour the footer, and he still told me what the plans were. But when I saw it all put together, it made so much sense. And he's got it attached to the house. And he said to me, look, he says, when my mother-in-law does pass on, he said, this is my man cave. And I'm going to take down the wall, and I'm going to open it up to the house. And this is where I'm going to be. I'm going to hang out there, and I got my garage where I can, tinker with my cars. I'm going to have a big screen TV where I can watch my football. It's going to be my man cave.
That is correct. And I think that there are a lot of people that would like that, or some various twist or similar use of that type of thing. And, we hear things like, okay, sometimes some people would put up a guest type facility or an independent living type facility, whether it's attached or detached, or it's an addition or a private entry put on a current house, or redo a garage and then build a new garage on a different part. But you brought up a few things that are, I think, really important. One of them is that it is really, really important that it doesn't look like an add-on or a different era or really differentiate itself from the current home and or the neighborhood. Right. It needs to blend in with whatever is there. And it's kind of interesting, taking this out even another further step, is our people have sometimes gone out with somebody who, they have this need to care for or provide a living space for an aging relative, but their current house just isn't going to work. Okay? It's not big enough, or the lot's not big enough, or a variety of things. So they pool their money along with, quite often, the aging relative, and they say, okay, we want to buy a different house, and then we want to create something on a larger lot or a different setting or whatever it is, and our people will help them with that. They'll go and look, because it's really important that you can take a current house and you can do an addition that doesn't look like an addition.
Well, and we've been talking about the in-law suite and, casita attached or detached. But, Trevec Inc. is a construction company. And they're the residential construction company. You do new construction, you do remodels, you do a lot of everything. But I'm attracted to you. Not physically, Randy, but I'm attracted to you because of what you're doing for our aging adult population. Because, many people have this notion that, like it was in yesterday's generation, that you went to a facility and that's where you died. And I got to tell you, especially if you're on hospice care, people have this fixation, if they've never been through it, that you go to this place to die. Well, over 90%, it may be closer to 98%, people die at home. They want to be home. That's where they're comfortable. And you have provided a solution for our community here in Arizona, and more specifically to the Maricopa region and Scottsdale, where this station is and where I live, for members to be able to have their aging adult parents live in very close proximity. As I said, too, to be participatory in their family's life. And also, let's not lose sight of the fact that adult children worry about their parents. I used to worry about my mom all the time. And if I call her and the line was busy or if it was ringing, she lived 20 minutes away. And I got to tell you, there were a lot of times I got in the car and drove 20 minutes to just check to make sure she was okay. In this setting, I wouldn't have to. I could just walk next door.
Yeah, we feel very strongly about that because there's a lot of adult children that are, I don't know, in their 50s, 60s or whatever, and have elderly parents, and they do worry about them. And they quite often feel guilty. Okay, there's no reason they really have to feel guilty, but they feel guilty because their life is so busy and mom's over there being lonely and they know that they need to drive over. Maybe it's a half an hour, maybe it's 45 minutes, maybe it's even in another state. But they should go and visit mom or dad or whatever, and yet they're busy. They have their own life demands and their children's life demands and these kinds of things. And so it just makes it much handier for everybody. And yet I think a crucial part is that there is privacy between the two households, because then you can take it or leave it. If somebody's got kind of a bad mood going that day or whatever, they can just kind of hole up with a book or whatever it is and just kind of have a quiet day. But on the other hand, if there's something wrong, obviously there's somebody there to observe it. But if there isn't, and then it's good days, they can do things together, and they can pick and choose.
They can pick and choose, and I will say this, and we talked about it in one of the other segments. For our grandchildren, and for the grandparents, one of the things that we have been very much a part of in terms of our community and other communities is really trying to bring intergenerational groups together. Because I believe our aging parents and grandparents, our aging adults out there, have so much to offer to our younger population. And I'm talking about preteens as well as teenagers, have so much to offer. To be that close to them and be involved in their lives, I got to tell you, I mean, if I had that opportunity to do that with my children, to live in a freestanding or attached casita and be a part of my grandchildren's lives, that would be pretty special.
Yeah, I really think it would be. And as I said, I have a lot of grandchildren, and so
you won the prize. I got to tell you, Randy, I've never met anybody that has 63 grandchildren. We're coming up on the close of this segment, and I got to tell you, I've really enjoyed having you on today. You brought a unique solution to our aging adult population. I don't think many people that are listening to our show have even heard about or even thought about. So if you're thinking about it, go to Trayvec.com or call 480-367-1171. And I really encourage you to take a look at those pictures. As we break and get ready to wrap up our show, you got anything special planned for the weekend?
Well, I'm not sure. I might go skiing with one of my sons, but we'll see. We still have quite a few guests from the Midwest down. So
I got my wife's birthday coming up on Monday. So Susie, happy birthday. We're going to celebrate over the weekend and on Monday. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. Make it a great day and have a great weekend.
Thank you, Bob.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress Home Care Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit CypressHomeCare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
Stay connected to business news, the market, and social talk with Phil Grandy and the Phil's Gang Show. Weekdays 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. right here on 1510 Money Radio.
Obama can't let the stock market go down. You lied about Benghazi. You lied about the AP. You lied. Stop coming out here as a salesman. What, is he nuts? Phil Grandy here. Be sure to catch the Phil's Gang Show when? Weekdays 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. right here on 1510 Money Radio.
Money Radio 1510
and 99.3 FM.
Is KFNN Mesa Phoenix and K257 CD Phoenix. Not a day goes by without something significant happening in the financial markets. Gary Kaltbaum clarifies it for you weekdays at 3 here on Money Radio. Dow is down 281 points now. The S&P is down 30, and the NASDAQ is down 57. Gold down $29 at $11.67 an ounce.
Just ahead, Money Radio brings you the latest news, business news, Arizona business news, the weather and traffic. And it all starts right now.